The rumors are rampant in media circles tonight that Don Imus is coming back. All indications are that he'd begin at WABC, the nation's #1 talk radio station, in December, a deal that would likely include syndication across the country. Imus is also reportedly looking for a TV deal. Back in April, both CBS and MSNBC fired him following those derogatory comments about the Rutgers women's basketball team. So what's changed now? Are the same people who wanted him off the air back then demanding he stay off the air now? Joining me now is Niger Innis, national spokesman for the Congress of Racial Equality, and Air America host Rachel Maddow. All right, Rachel, does Imus, there's been a 6-month period here where he's been off the air. Does this have to be a permanent banishment?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if 6-month shelf life is long enough to make people stop calling him the nappy-headed hose guy. That's going to be all the difference as to whether or not his resurgence is a commercially viable one or not, whether or not people are willing to forget that. I think that he's the nappy-headed hose guy forever, personally, but other people might disagree.
This is from the National Association of Black Journalists. To put him back on the air now makes light of his serious and offensive racial remarks that are still ringing in the ears of people all over this country. Then the National Organization for Women, it's like a bad dream, didn't they learn anything? What do you make of that, Niger?
Well, I certainly applaud NABJ and their stance on Don Imus, and even though I disagree with their remedies, the man has asked for forgiveness. He went to the Rutgers University students that he had offended. He asked forgiveness. He was given forgiveness. I wish that Kim Gandy and National Organization of Women and Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson were as outraged as they are with Don Imus as they should be with Hillary Clinton, who went to a fundraiser and got close to $1 million raised for her by Timberland, one of these gangster rapper types. And I say, when you look at the problems in the African American community and the problems of hip hop culture,
right, okay,
is it Don Imus that's the real threat, or is it the fact that the entertainment media industrial complex glorifies these guys?
But the question here is not what is the great threat. I don't think anyone was suggesting that Don Imus was a great threat to the future of African American culture. The question was at the time whether what he said was inappropriate.
And it was.
And by the way, I should point out before I give Rachel a chance to respond, because she was laughing at what you said, Jesse Jackson has just issued a statement where he said, "We respect his right to return to the airways, but the American people that criticize his actions will watch him closely." So, Rachel, it seems that Jesse Jackson is supporting Don Imus's right to be back on the air.
Well, it's never been an issue of rights. It's been an issue of commercial viability and taste. And you got a right to say anything in this country. I'm a First Amendment purist, and I don't think anybody would say that he doesn't have a right to say that. The question is whether or not he ought to have a national radio show from which to broadcast those views. I think that he's embarrassing. And so I think that it's embarrassing for us as a culture to have him be a celebrated media talent when that's what he puts out there in the world. So, no, I don't want to see him return to the national airwaves, but CBS is going to have to decide, or MSNBC is going to have to decide, or ABC, or whoever it's going to be, is going to have to decide if enough time has passed so that he can be something more than an embarrassment. I don't see it, but apparently somebody sees it enough to throw a whole lot of money his way.
Well, look, I don't think there's any question that he's going to do well. Financially.
Do you think that he'll get all his highfalutin guests back, though? Who wants to be on with the nappy-headed hose guy?
Well, look, whether he gets all the guests back or not, I think that there's no question that he's going to have a lot of listeners. Niger, do you disagree?
No, I don't. I think he is going to have a lot of listeners, and I think actually Don Imus has an opportunity to show a different side, if you will, of the minority community, which unfortunately many within the cultural elite, some of these very folk that attack Don Imus, are silent on Hillary Clinton going to a fundraiser with Timberland. They're silent on Chrysler and T-Mobile having Snoop Doggy Dogg in commercials. They're silent on the Hollywood entertainment elite producing a movie, a biography on 50 Cent. On unrepentant drug dealer.
Hang on, Niger. Before you go on with your long list of all the sins that you think have been committed in society, let me give Rachel a chance to respond.
Niger, you and I are friends, and we get along great, Niger, and you know that I respect your opinion on this stuff. But I feel like you are you're about 6 months behind the times in terms of people who have expressed outrage about Imus also expressing appropriate outrage about inappropriate language and imagery in hip-hop culture. I think that it's out there. People have criticized it, and I don't think you're crossing any new ground here by saying that's bad too. There's nothing about Don Imus that is made any better by the fact that there's also other bad cultural representations out there.
No, we crossed the line some 15 years ago and have been consistently before Don Imus made the comments that he made. And where we're crossing the line is pointing out the gross hypocrisy of the elites within entertainment and within Hollywood that continue to this day. You can turn on.
What about that, Rachel? What about picking and choosing? What about the fact that it does seem that people have chosen this as kind of a cause to go after Imus, and yet there are a lot of other causes that they could pursue when it comes to racial equality and sensitivity to women and African Americans?
Sure. I mean, you have to choose your battles, and there's an opportunity cost every time you decide to fight one. But it also remains to be seen whether or not it's okay to let something like this slide. I mean, people have just ignored it and laughed it off like every other racist thing Imus had ever said had been laughed off for a generation? Or would somebody finally decided to say, you know what, we've got it on tape, there's no explanation for this, he's got to answer for this, and this is not okay. This is not okay to have a nationally broadcast show where you're not seen as an embarrassment, but you get away with this kind of stuff. It's the same reason that O'Reilly's been in trouble. It's the same reason that Russia's been in trouble.
10 seconds,
Sometimes you just
Niger.
get caught out.
Don Imus has apologized. He's answered for it. He was fired. He's been rehired. I want to know, when are the executives that are making millions and billions of dollars on this hip-hop culture being sucked into the veins of the black community every day and right now? When are they going to apologize?
Rachel Maddow, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dan.